Brandon Sanderson's Wind and Truth is the most divisive book since the Bible. I mean, it's probably not that divisive or that big of a deal, but some fans are furious, or maybe just mildly disappointed. The question is their disappointment justified? Did the ever reliable Sanderson finally poop his pajamas, or are they clean? Maybe he just sharded a bit. I couldn't not say it.
No fluff writing advice. Cut the fluff!
For my no fluff review of Brandon Sanderson's Wind and Truth, I'll start with the good. You should always give a good ball tickling when it's due, move on to the bad, plenty of that to go around, and finish with the undeniably ugly. Oh, and it does get ugly. But first, the good. Sanderson knows how to plot. And I don't mean in the clandestine cloak and dagger smoky room sense, although I can't say for sure that's not how he plots. I mean, the guy can tell a story. Sanderson's ability to write satisfying story arcs is one of his strengths. It may even be his biggest strength. Unless he has a bench press record I'm unaware of, entirely possible. When I say story arc, I'm talking about all the plot points, the setups and payoffs, the overall narrative. I'm not talking about the pacing. We'll discuss that in a different section. Yes, someone's been naughty. But from an overall story perspective, the windy truth is, Wind and Truth hits all the right spots, like a good masseuse, minus the happy ending. Or maybe it was a happy ending. It's all about perspective, isn't it? If I can be real for a moment, let's find out. Sanderson always nails his endings. The day he releases a story with an unsatisfying ending is the day we can confidently say Brandon Sanderson has poopy pajamas. But today's not that day. While Wind and Truth may not provide the ending we wanted, it does give us the ending we deserve. Interpret that how you will. No, sorry, I'm being real. Honestly, Sando sticks the landing, like a well-trained windrunner. Maybe we should call him Brandon always sticks the land in Sanderson. Just a thought. Character arcs and character development are also handled well. Most characters are tested, put through damnation, and are forced to make tough decisions, therefore growing as fictional page people. I don't think any viewpoint characters were mishandled. Some had more compelling arcs than others, but that's natural. Others had, and I don't know what category to put this in, it's not bad, but it's also not... It's interesting. Okay, I'll say it. Some characters experience some interspecies love. Not love making, not yet, although there's probably some fan art on the way if it doesn't already exist. To be fair, what's an epic fantasy series without some interspecies romance? In Australia, a man got in trouble for mouth-loving a trout. I assume the act was frowned upon. No, frowning's not a strong enough reaction. I assume the act was condemned because the trout wasn't sentient and couldn't consent. None of that in Wind and Truth. It's all above board as far as interspecies relations go. Anyway, I'm glad we got that out of the way. Let's talk odium. I love an antagonist who can make you see their point of view and almost win you over to their cause. I'll admit, at times, I wasn't sure whose side I was on. If I were on Roshar, I might have been Team Odium. The new Odium, not the old one. That guy was a creep. New Odium is a sympathetic villain, if you can even call him a villain. I mean, even the heroes do villainous things and the villains have noble intent. So who are the real villains? Yes, Odium got to me. Weaving the in-world card game Towers into the story was nifty, but I can't help but think it was partly a marketing ploy. Maybe there's an official Towers game on the way and Wind and Truth was the last chance to really sell the game in a book, at least until the second Stormlight arc. Hey, if I'm wrong, I'll eat my copy of Wind and Truth. No, then I'd be eating my Kindle. I take that back, that wasn't an oath, I'm no oath breaker. Now the bad. Where to start? Let's start here. Cringy dialogue. Not new for a Sanderson novel, not new for me either. I've written plenty of top tier cringe. In Wind and Truth, while most of the dialogue was fine and served its purpose, some of it made me outwardly groan. Yeah, I couldn't hold it in. I had to let it out. It sounded like this. You know, a bit like Kaladin's flute playing. If you've read the book, it'll make sense. While there's plenty of cringe to go around, the pseudo-inspirational self-helpish claptrap is the most groan-inducing. Some of it's so shallow and cliche it makes my gums hurt. I don't know why, that's just what happens. Kaladin is one of the worst offenders. He's worked through some stuff, still working through it to some extent, and he wants everyone to know about it. He says, right at the start of the book, so no spoiler, "It does feel warm to have finally figured a few things out. to let go of the weight and step out from the shadow. I know darkness will return, but I think I'll be able to remember better than before. Oh yeah, put that up on Instagram. Kaladin would be a tough social media follow, but I know some people are into that sort of stuff, so alright, well done Kaladin for conquering your inner darkness and refusing to shut up about it. That brings me to another bad that actually flips to a better by the end of the book, the mental health theme. While mental health has been an underlying theme of the Stormlight Archive pretty much since the beginning, in Wind and Truth, Sanderson really rams it down your throat like missed medication. I respect the message and the theme does fit the story. I mean, every significant character has some psychological, what's even the right word, abnormality they're navigating, but the lack of subtlety's mental is what it is. It's like all the subtext has been stripped away and now we're getting the Psych 101 course we never signed up for. I swear Sanderson used to be more subtle with this stuff. Or maybe it's not that he's gotten less subtle, just more heavy handed with the amount of mental health malarkey he's dumping into the story. Anyway, it did feel more natural towards the end of the book, but it's almost like he wanted to write a Stormlight self help book disguised as a novel. Brandon, is this an epic fantasy novel or a self help book?
The answer to all of that is, of course, yes.
Wind and Truth also did a lot of spoon feeding information and overtelling. The series is marketed as adult epic fantasy, but it often treats readers like children. This character did this for this exact reason. It's like Sanderson didn't think his character's actions and the subtext would speak loud enough to our mentally deaf children's brains, so he had to lay it out in plain English. Maybe use dot points next time just to be safe. What else was bad? Oh, sweet Mother of the Almighty, the walls of exposition, the info dumping, so much info, so much dumping. The worst were the relentless and seemingly endless inner monologues. I know getting inside a character's head helps you get to know and relate to them, but I started to hate a lot of the viewpoint characters by the end. That's what happens when you get to know someone too well. You grow to hate them. That probably explains a lot of the self-hatred people experience. Yes, I should weave more shallow psychological insights into this review. Anyway, we don't need to know every thought that pops into a character's head. I can't imagine objecting anyone to every thought that pops into my head. 10 minutes of that would be enough to break the heralds and kick off a new desolation. So please, viewpoint characters, stop yammering in your heads and do something story-worthy. Don't dump all this on me. I'm just here for a good time. Maybe you should see a therapist. Finally, the ugly. Alright, I'll just say it. The first third or so of the book bored me to braze. It was torture. There were plenty of other overwritten areas, but the story came crawling out of the gate like a Kremling. Yeah, I'm going to ram a few more Stormlight references in here. Why not? How about this one? Reading some parts of Wind and Truth were like watching a freshly infused sphere go done. Wind and Truth? More like long-winded truth. Apparently, Wind and Truth is almost 500,000 words. Why? At least 100,000 of those need to go. There are unnecessary scenes, entire scenes that barely add anything to the story. There are walls of overwritten exposition. If certain locations on Roshar had walls that thick, certain battles would have had different outcomes. I get that the slower pacing in some places was used to create a build-up to the good stuff. If executed well, I'd consider that good pacing. But slow doesn't mean boring as creme. Yeah, not my best. If I wasn't familiar with Sanderson's work, I wouldn't have finished the book. I mean, it'd be weird to start with the 5th book of the series, but even if I somehow knew what was happening, I wouldn't have made it through the first quarter. The first third or so of the novel was also where I noticed the worst of the mental health cheese and cringy dialogue. Everything levels out about halfway through, or maybe it's just Stockholm Syndrome at that point. Before publication, whoops, too late now, Wind and Truth needed a super serious edit at every level. Actually, I didn't spot too many typos, although there were a few, there always are, so proofreading gets a pass, but damn, there were some questionable sentences in there. Not enough to ruin the reading experience, but enough to make me wonder if the publisher skimped on the editing budget, or embezzled it. Check their pockets. There's a phenomenon that occurs when authors reach a certain level. Their editors seem to lose their authority and just let them do whatever they want. You could call it Stephen King syndrome. That could be the explanation for the wind and truth we got. No one told Brandon Sanderson his book got too big. It's the literary equivalent of, does my butt look big in this? No, no way, it looks great, perfect size. I imagine that's basically what Sanderson's editor said. After hearing all that, you might assume this is a negative review. It's not. At a certain point, I began to enjoy the book, and while that enjoyment waxed and waned, wrong series, there were parts that I thoroughly enjoyed. Plenty of parts, in fact, that highlight what a great storyteller Brandon Sanderson is. I won't tell you to read the book. I won't tell you not to read it either. It's your choice. I'm not your Babs. Had to get one more in.